I'd be remiss if I didn't get a couple photos of my own. Beautiful crowd. Thank you guys all for being here. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming. We gather today to honor and recognize those who have served our community as first responders, the Mounds View Police Department, the Spring Lake Park Lane Mounds View Fire Department, and Emergency Medical Services, Alina Health, and to remember the residents who have lost their lives in the local disasters. The 1965 tornado, the 1986 pipeline explosion, and the 35W bridge collapse. I want to welcome and thank the following guests for joining us today. Ramsey County Commissioner Tara Jebin Singh, Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson, Tom Brace, former State Marshal, Fire Marshal and Director of the Office of Pipeline Safety, former State Representative and Senator Steve Novak, and I believe Kelly Morrison is here too. I'm going to say congressional. Huh? Kelly Moeller is here. Our state house rep. So welcome and thank you all for attending today. Doing the posting of the colors will be the New Brighton VFW, Post Brooker Edmond VFW Post 724. Terry Hoy is commanding. And I would invite Brad Mills to come up and share the opening prayer.
Please join me as we pray. Creator, Sustainer, Redeemer, this afternoon we gather here on these grounds to dedicate them, not just as some haphazard pieces of stone and metal, but as living and active place filled with your gracious spirit. God, our infinite source of being, we lift up these lowly common elements, this dirt that we stand on, these basic things to human life, and we open our eyes to the realities behind them. The lives lost, the heroes that saved a life, the sacrifices, the abilities and gifts you give us to bring about goodness, peace, and community. Today we stand here not simply in tribute, today we stand here encountering the past, the present, and what is to come in our small but mighty city of Mounds View. We feel time stand still as we connect to those who have gone before us, and we feel time rushing past us as we pause to give thanks for the work constantly surrounding us, work that makes us community, work that gives us purpose and meaning, work that binds us as fellow humans on this journey together. Today we celebrate the dream that began 3 years ago as many faithful citizens joined together and planned and created the Mounds View Tribute Park. We give thanks for their work. We give thanks for those in tribute, both living and those who have passed. In the police department, the fire department, emergency medical care, and the residents who lost their lives in local tragedies, especially the 1965 tornado, the 86 gas line explosion, and the 08 35W bridge collapse. Creator, Sustainer, Redeemer, we bless these grounds, the hands that worked them, and all those we give tribute to today. We ask that this may be a place of healing, memory, and peace. We ask that we may feel your gracious and guiding spirit move among us. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.
All right, next I'd ask everybody to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Wait. Sorry. Hold on.
Post. Colors. Present arms. Pledge.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm not familiar with this part. All right, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up.
Order arms. Left face. Forward march.
Next, I'd like to invite Council Member Sherry Gunn up to introduce Chief Zender.
Good afternoon. Chief Zender began his career in March. Oh, sorry, you said. Chief Zender began his career in March of 2004 as patrol officer, rising through the ranks and appointed chief of police in April of 2023. He served in various positions and specialties within the Mounds View PD, including training officer, use of force instructor, firearms instructor, and the K-9 unit supervisor. Zender was recognized with the Meritorious Service Award for his efforts in implementing the first K-9 program with the Mounds View PD. Zender is a Marine Corps veteran and was recognized by the American Legion with a Law Enforcement Certificate of Commendation for Outstanding Public Service. Chief Zender is a graduate of the FBI National Academy in Guantanamo, Virginia. Zender holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Law Enforcement from Metropolitan State University and a graduate certificate in Criminal Justice from the University of Virginia. Zender serves as the president of Ramsey County Chiefs of Police Association and is board member of the Northeast Youth and Family Services. Can I introduce Chief Zender?
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ben Zender. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Mounds View. I've served this community for 21 years and I'm extremely proud and humbled to be here. I'm extremely excited for this project. The project has been long overdue, but it's definitely worth the wait. It's extremely important to me for a variety of reasons. One of them being that I'm not only a police officer, but I'm also a Marine Corps veteran. So having this park commemorate both the military and first responders is very important to me. I would like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to start off by thanking local, state, national elected officials for all their support. Public Works Director Don Peterson, who's done an amazing job, and of course City Administrator Niall Zickman for all your hard work. Community members providing feedback, nonprofit organizations for supporting and contributing to the project, and especially the entire Tribute Park Committee. Over the past several years, volunteers and staff have spent numerous hours organizing, coordinating, and planning to make this project a success. Additionally, I'd like to thank Mayor Zach Lindstrom and the council member Gary Mielhaus, Sherry Gunn, Joe Bergeron, Teresa Cermak, Julie Clark, and Catherine Smith for supporting this project. I'd also like to thank former Mayor Carol Mueller for her vision on this project and making this her legacy project for the City of Mounds View. This project would not have happened without all your support. I would also like to thank all former and current Mounds View police officers for attending this ceremony today. The Mounds View Police Department has been an integral part of Mounds View since its incorporation in 1958. The Mounds View Police Department has played a critical role in each of these three tragedies that we're remembering today. That being the 1965 tornado, the 1986 William Pipeline explosion, and the 2001 35W bridge collapse. These officers put themselves in harm's way to protect the public and serve the community. Some of these officers are here today. You all have paved the way and built the foundation of service, which will be carried on to this day. Since these tragedies, law enforcement standards and training have continued to evolve. as long as education requirements, equipment needs, and technological advances. But the mission remains the same. The Mounds View Police Department strives to maintain a safe city by reducing and deterring crime through enforcement, education, and outreach, while upholding our core values of service, integrity, and commitment. We're dedicated to providing quality police services in an effort to enhance the quality of life in the city of Mounds View and build trust and partnership with the community. Our agency has evolved, and in 2012, the department implemented their first ever canine unit. Our canine unit has continued to grow over the years, and the department is committed to maintaining 2 active canine teams. The past canine teams are Canine Handler Investigator Erickson with Canine Nico, Canine Handler Sergeant Schultes and Canine Grizz, and Canine Handler Officer Ozzy and Canine Ace. Since then, both Canine Nico and Canine Grizz have since passed away. But we do have 2 bricks dedicated to them in this park, honoring their service. Additionally, along this path, there are numerous bricks of names of people who have dedicated their life to public service, whether that be police, fire, EMS, or military. The dedicated service will be honored and cherished for years to come. Several Mounds View Police Department retirees and Minnesota State Troopers out of our office have also purchased bricks commemorating their dedicated service to the community. We also have a Mounds View specific police department brick in honor of every Mounds View officer who bravely put others before themselves for the common good and put on the uniform to serve the community. We appreciate all your dedicated service. Today, the Mounds View Police Department consists of 21 officers, both male and female, with various diverse backgrounds, levels of training, and educational achievement. As we move forward into the future, let this park be a tribute to all past, present, and future Mounds View police officers who have the courage to wear the badge and bravely serve and protect the citizens of Mounds View. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to invite Councilmember Julie Clark up to introduce Chief Dan Redka.
Hi everyone. Chief Daniel Redka has served the Spring Lake Park, Blaine, Mounds View communities since 2002 and was appointed Fire Chief of SBM Fire Department in December 2022. Over his 2 decades with the department, he has worked his way through nearly every rank, from firefighter to deputy chief, gaining the experience needed to lead a growing dynamic fire service. Beyond his role as chief, he also serves as director of operations for the Anoka County Fire Training Academy, where he focuses on developing the next generation of firefighters. Chief Redka is committed to prevention, training, leadership, and maintaining SBM Fire Department's strong family-based culture. His education includes numerous fire service certifications, coursework in leadership, and emergency management, and international study with the Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service in Liverpool, England. Welcome to the stage, Fire Chief Redka.
Good afternoon. It's an honor here to stand here today on behalf of the SBM Fire Department, both past and present. This wall is more than granite names. It's a lasting reminder of sacrifice, service, and resilience. Today we pay tribute to our veterans who stood in defense of our freedoms and to all those in public safety who have dedicated their lives to protecting others. This wall also reminds us of 3 events that forever changed the city of Mounds View, where SBM Fire had major roles in. In 1965, a devastating tornado tore through the city, claiming lives, reshaping this community forever. It tested the resolve of our fire department, who remained on the scene for several days, working tirelessly through destruction and heartbreak. Their strength, commitment, and compassion helped guide the city through its darkest hours. In 1986, a pipeline explosion shook Mounds View to its core. 3 lives were lost that day, including Beverly and young Jennifer Spano. The devastation was sudden, violent, and heartbreaking. Flames consumed the streets, threatened the homes, families were torn apart, and first responders rushed into the chaos and danger, doing everything in their power to save lives and bring order. The men and women of SBM who responded that day faced scenes no firefighter ever hopes to see. Explosions, fire, destruction, and grief all at once. They did their jobs with courage and determination, but they carried the weight of the day with them long after the flames were extinguished. Many of those firefighters have since retired, and some are no longer with us, but the memories of that call and the thousands of others they answered remain with them every day. Last year, I had the privilege of joining Administrator Zickman, Chief Zender, and Commissioner Jacobson in visiting Don Spano and his wonderful wife Cindy at their home. They graciously welcomed us in, not only to talk about the tribute wall, but to reconnect and share their story. It was a powerful, emotion-filled morning, one that reminded me of the true meaning of courage, resiliency, and respect. To Don and Cindy and Allison, you have carried this loss with strength and dignity for nearly 4 decades. Your courage, resiliency, and deep respect you have shown over all these years is nothing short of remarkable. On behalf of the entire SBM Fire Department, I want to thank you for opening your home, for sharing your story, and being here today. Not only to remember the victims, but also the survivors and the men and women who responded that day. And to our current crew, while the patch on the sleeve and the logo on the trucks may have changed over the years, the mission has never changed. The men and women of the SBM Fire Department continue to respond day in, day out, carrying forward that same duty, honor, commitment to this community. This wall ensures that none of those moments and none of those people will ever be forgotten. May it remind us all of the cost of service, the weight of sacrifice, and the resilience that defines the people of Mounds View. As Fire Chief, I am proud to lead today's department knowing we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Their service, sacrifice, and their strength continue to guide us forward. And finally, to the City of Mounds View, congratulations and well done. This tribute wall will stand as a tribute for generations to come for those that have sacrificed, lost their lives, and continue to serve. Thank you for allowing SBM to be a part of such a momentous day. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Councilmember Catherine Smith to introduce EMS leader Dave Matson.
Welcome. Thank everyone for being here today. David Madison is a senior manager of operations for Alina Health Emergency Medical Services, where he oversees EMS 911 operations across northern Ramsey, Anoka, Isanti, and northern Hennepin counties, as well as EMS operations in Alina's Wisconsin division. With over 30 years of experience in emergency medical services, David has progressed roles as a paramedic, supervisor, and manager. He holds a bachelor's degree in community and health and public health from St. Cloud State University and a master's degree in leadership and management from Concordia University. David's credentials as a managing paramedic officer by the National EMS Management Association. A passionate advocate for community engagement, David is committed to building and sustaining strong relationships with local public safety agencies, including police, fire, and sheriff departments. David is also a proud veteran of the United States Air Force, has served 8 years in the U.S. Army and Minnesota National Guard. He achieved the rank of first lieutenant and served in the 194th Infantry in St. Cloud before becoming an armored officer. Please welcome David Madison.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's both an honor and privilege to speak here today at the Mounds View Tribute Park dedication. My heart goes out to the families who lost loved ones in the 1965 tornado, the 1986 pipeline explosion, and the 35W bridge collapse. These events are etched in our collective memories, and today we honor those lives and the resilience of this community. Emergency medical services has a rich and evolving history. The first civilian ambulance service was started in 1865 in Cincinnati, Ohio. By the 1950s, EMS was often operated by funeral homes, towing companies, and some police and fire departments. The introduction of CPR in the 1960s marked a turning point in EMS, laying the foundation for EMS as a legitimate medical profession. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, it wasn't uncommon for orderlies from Unity Hospital's ER to jump into a Cadillac-style ambulance, racing to a scene, bringing somebody to the hospital, doing minimal medical interventions. That changed dramatically after 1972 when a TV show called Emergency introduced the public to paramedic-level care through the characters of Johnny and Roy. And this is really what shaped the public perception and support of modern-day EMS. Today, EMS is a sophisticated system of advanced life support, capable of delivering emergency room level care in the field. And under my leadership at Alina EMS, we are committed to strong partnerships with public safety agencies like SBM Fire and Mounds View Police Department. These relationships are vital when responding to disasters, whether they're natural, accidental, or intentional. The unfortunate disasters of the tornado, the pipeline explosion, bridge collapse, and current events, such as the recent school church shooting in Minneapolis, and even the school bus crash we had last Thursday on 35W, require all elements of public safety to work together to save lives, to rescue people, have security, and protect further harm. We do that as EMS, fire, and police, pooling our specialties to achieve a common goal. You all in Mounds View have that benefit of a strong teamwork connection between these three elements of public safety. Alina EMS has a strong history to the dedication of helping people during some of the worst days of their lives. As a paramedic, I must continue to learn, keep the understanding that people call 911 typically when they're not having a great day. They are typically scared and they're fearful. The compassion, reassurance, medical knowledge, and explanations can be just as important as using all the tools I have in my toolbox to help make a person feel better or to save their life. As we look into the future, Alina EMS will continue to train, collaborate, and prepare for whatever emergencies may come. Whether it's a medical call, a cardiac arrest, or a multi-casualty incident. Our strength lies in our partnerships and our shared mission to serve and protect. A quote that I live by is, in EMS, no one saves a life alone. It takes a team, each member bringing their own skill, heart, courage to the front lines of every emergency. Thank you again for attending this tribute event. Today we honor those we've lost, and we reaffirm our commitment to be ready, always to serve at a moment's notice. Thank you again.
You know, I'd like to thank all the first responders, police, fire, EMS that have protected our communities over the years. I had a critical incident in my life about 8 years ago where, had it not been for Chief Zender, I probably wouldn't be alive today. He found me unresponsive in my house and administered oxygen, and the EMS took me to the hospital, and I'm standing here today because of it. And in a time where we're as divided as we are as a state and as a country, you know, first responders embody everything that's right about our world and in our community. Like, they just show up, right? They don't care what your politics are. They don't care how you vote in November. They just show up and do the job, right? They put service above self, And I'm so grateful that we have the team that we do. And I hope that, we can all leave here today a little bit more inspired to grab a little bit of what they got going on and, think about people around us and how we can be helpful. Mounds View has had its share of tragedies. The first major one was the 1965 tornado. It does predate me a little bit. I was born in '81, and so I think my mom might have been 5. So we were on the way. On the evening of May 6, 1965, a powerful storm developed over the Twin Cities metro region, with 5 tornadoes sweeping across the western and northern portions of the 7-county metro area. 4 of these were rated F4s, with the other AF3. 13 people were killed and 683 were injured. Experts determined that many more would have been killed had it not been for warnings of the U.S. Weather Bureau, local officials, and outstanding communications by local radio and TV stations, particularly WCCO AM radio, as well as the first-time use of civil defense sirens. Mounds View suffered 5 of those 13 deaths, along with the death of a non-resident, thereby accounting for nearly half of the deaths from this storm. Today we remember Walter Henry Charles Achenkirk, a bachelor who lived at 2001 County Road H2. Ron was 68 years old and was one of the 4 Achenkirks who lived in the area. We are honored today to welcome his nephew, son of brother Reuben Ron Achenkirk, and his family. We also remember Gregory James Magzum, who was born September 8th, 1960. Gregory's sister, Edie Magzum, Graceland. Edie Magzum Graceland survived the storm, but suffered injuries that prevented her from attending today. She composed a letter she would like to share, and I'll have the city administrator read that in a moment. Lastly, we remember Charles Lavilia Abraham's family, Charles' wife, Lavilia, sons Michael, Brian, and Scott, and daughters Lorianne and Lissa Lynn, infant. Lavilia and the 2 daughters perished in the storm and are buried together with Lisa swaddled in her mother's arms, all 3 resting in peacefully in the Holy Cross Lutheran Church of St. Cloud Cemetery. To date, we have been unable to locate any of the 3 sons, but will remain vigilant in trying. And next, I'd like to invite up the city administrator to read the letter from Ms. Magson.
Thank you, Mayor, and some of the fire guys are already cringing. Few things struck greater fear when I was the fire chief than me in front of a microphone, but we're not going to go there today. I want to start with, I walked the planet for 67 years and I've done a number of things I'm very proud of, but I don't know that there's any that rises to this. I was second in a pipeline fire. So it's huge. We got to connect 38 years later. Yeah. This park wouldn't be here today. Mayor Mueller, where's Mayor Mueller? This was her legacy. Absent that, I don't know that this would have happened. She said, this is going to be my legacy project. And that momentum carried in to Mayor Holz, bless his soul, and carried on by Mayor Lindstrom. Wouldn't be here. It also wouldn't be here for another man who doesn't get enough credit. Where's Director Don Peterson? In back. Don's retired Osha Fire in 25 years. He was out here at 6 this morning and yesterday morning, those days before. So the passion carries through the project. So I just want to recognize and thank those 2. And one more, Bill Bergeron and his wife. I always tease he brings his daughter along. It was Bill that came up with the word tribute. And that changed the dynamic immeasurably. I don't know of another memorial where you can have your uniformed service honored and not have to die to do that. And in a very personal way, your name can be on a paper. You don't have to die to get your name on the paper here. This is a unique tribute park. And I encourage all my SBM colleagues and all my new friend colleagues in PD, which after this I get to ump the 5th annual SBM Fire PD softball game, and it's tied 2 games to 2, so we'll see what happens there. I hope to survive. So moving on to the tornado, which I was alive, but I was 7 at that time. And the challenge of connecting with those survivors, I'm just going to add, did Ron Atcherkirk make it? They'd indicated they were going to. 3 families, as the mayor said, the Atcherkirks, the Magsons, and the Abrahams lost. Heidi Garceland Magson, a resident, connected her with me. She's unable to attend because of the injuries from that event 60 plus years ago today, but she penned a letter, asked for it to be read. We are tape recording this. She's looking forward to that. I've been taking pictures of the monument. For those who with those tragedies, those roses at the base of the monument are for you when you leave, for the Spano family, the Magson family, and the Holmes and Eichstadt families. I am Gregory's baby sister. Gregory was born September 8th, 1960. He was described as a sweet, quiet, gentle boy, very blonde hair, a true towhead. When I arrived in June 1964, he was 3.5, and I was his pride and joy. We were inseparable, and for 11 wonderful months, our family felt complete. May 6, 1965, tornado sirens blared on an evening of storms, so the family gathered for an evening in the basement. Picnic, supper, and snacks, toys and playing, all set up for a long night. I was in a stroller in the middle of the basement. Gregory was along the east wall, playing on the couch with cars and trucks. The corner was clear and ready. This was always the southwestmost spot of the home basement. Dad heard the roar of the tornado coming, the freight train barreling closer. He yelled for everyone to get to the corner. Mom grabbed me out of the stroller, rolled me in an old coat, and buried herself face first into the corner with me tucked under her. Dad stood watching Gregory coming across the room towards him. But in a moment, the ceiling of the basement, the floor of the main home lifted, then complete darkness as all the wires were torn free. Dad said he was always grateful he never saw the one thing hit Gregory. In that chaos that followed, Mom had cement blocks and debris piled on her back. My 2 little feet were sticking out from the coat and were crushed by the block and debris. Dad had a gash on his head, but nobody knew where Gregory was. Once Dad climbed outside, people coming and going, people hauled off to different hospitals. So Mom and Dad assumed that maybe Gregory had been found and taken for help. They searched. It wasn't until the next day that he was found dead, buried in our basement. My mom had a life of back trouble. I had feet, spine problems to this day. We went to stay with my Uncle Elmer and his family, so began a new life. Mom and Dad were a bit lost for a spell, but with help of family and friends and faith, they moved forward. Dad didn't know where to turn, but a dear friend, Marvin Bullock, offered his services to build a new home. Mom, Dad, and I moved into our new home, rebuilt on the foundation on January 1, 1966. As tragic as it was, my parents moved forward. They kept Gregory's memory alive, but they lived in the present and gave me a wonderful life. After effects. Even 60 years later, when I see lightning, hear thunder, if storm sirens go off, my heart races. I am still petrified, but I am thankful for the life I had growing up, parents who love me and live for the positive in life. I am not able to be at the opening of the tribute park today due to the injuries from the tornado, nerve damage in feet and spine. But I am happy to honor my big brother, Gregory, and those who were affected by these days through the years. We always need to remember that everyone has a story, and every story matters. I am sending special thoughts to each here today. Thank you, Heidi, Magslum, Garceland, and Elmer, and not his daughter, wife, Madeline. Magslum were able So Alex, we need you to pan on to them, because this is gonna be on video, but they didn't know if they could make it today, they didn't want ID to be disappointed, so it's wonderful you were able to come and represent the Mason family. Thank you.
I was with my brother when they found him in the basement.
So this is her uncle, the brother. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
This is a long story, you know. Thank you so much.
So, yep, pipeline.
The next tragedy we're going to talk about is the 1986 pipeline explosion. At 4:44 a.m. on July 8th, 1986, residents of Long Lake and Wooddale were awoken to a horror of a flowing gas line fire resulting from a failed pipeline operated by the Williams Pipeline Company. Paper route carrier Dane Block was seriously injured, and Beverly Spano and her 7-year-old daughter Jennifer died. I would like to invite Minnesota Public Safety Commissioner Bob Jacobson, who on that morning, along with his partner, were New Brighton police officers arriving first on scene, and upon exiting their squad, responded to the pleas of assistance from Beverly Spano. Bob was a second-year officer and had not spoken to Don after that morning until we were able to connect Don and Bob in September, 38 years after the event. Please welcome the Minnesota Public Safety Commissioner, Bob Jacobson.
Good morning, or afternoon, I guess it is. Isn't that, you hear the sirens go by once in a while? It's kind of music to my ears just to be able to hear those. As mentioned, my name is Bob Jacobson. I am the Commissioner of Public Safety, and I have to tell you that it is my distinct privilege to serve as the Commissioner of Public Safety and to be here today. Mayor, members of the City Council, City Administrator Zickman, thanks for your vision in completing this tribute park. It shows that Mounds View perhaps has suffered tragedy, but that they also remember and honor those lives lost. My compliments to you and your community. Thank you. It is also my honor to have served many years in public service, including 33 years in active law enforcement, most of that time in the city of New Brighton, your neighbor to the south. That time includes serving as a patrol officer on July 8th, 1986, when in the early morning hours I was among many fine police officers and firefighters and medics who responded to a pipeline explosion that claimed 2 lives, Beverly and Jennifer Spano, and changed the lives of a family, first responders in this community. Those who responded, I know, will never forget the flames nor the loss that occurred in those early morning hours. As I have told this story, I would never wish such a tragedy on any family. But I will say, like most first responders that I know and those that are here, they would say that they were honored to respond to such a tragedy, knowing that if someone must go, they'd rather it be them. And I was honored to be there that morning. And I know here in the city of Mounds View, you have a history of first responders, a community who are also ready to respond, always ready to serve, and always ready to support those members of our community who needed it most. That's how we serve others. And this tribute recognizes those amazing men and women who continue to serve with distinction. And for me, that experience, most of all, has given me the blessing to reconnect with Don Spano and his wonderful family. When we met again last year, we had not talked to each other since that fateful night 38 years prior. Don and his family impressed me with the resilience of that Spano family, how they forged ahead, lived life, and found continuing love and meaning in their lives. Don and his wife Cindy have shown that despite tragedy, life can and must go on. And they have given me the gift of some peace after all these years. I'm also very thankful. And even in those darkest hours, good can grow and take root. This tragedy led to the creation of the Office of Pipeline Safety, for which, as fate would have it, I now have the opportunity to oversee. And this change and the renewed focus on safety has no doubt saved others from a similar fate. And this community has remained steadfast and focused. You remember, you grieve, and you go on living with purpose and respect for others. So well done, City of Mounds View. This is truly a tribute to this community and to its spirit. Thank you.
The last event that we're going to honor isn't one that necessarily happens specifically in Mounds View. Oh, she does. I'd like to invite Allie Spano to come to the podium to speak about the pipeline.
Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for taking time to be here today. I'd like to especially thank the City of Mounds View for creating the vision for this tribute park and seeing it through to what it is today. It means more to me than I can explain. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Allie. I'm the daughter of Beth Spano and sister of Jenny Spano, who died in the 1986 explosion. I was 8 years old at the time. My sister was 7. That was almost 40 years ago. And despite the passing of time, I still carry that 8-year-old girl and her memories with me. They say that things can change in a blink of an eye, and that is absolutely true. When I woke up on the morning of July 8th, I had a mom, a dad, a sister, and an overweight cat named Mittens. By that afternoon, Mom and Jenny had died. A woman in our neighborhood was severely burned, and our neighborhood streets were charred black. The odd thing, like memories like these, is they aren't always coherent and sometimes show up as flashes or frozen moments in time. Things like the smell of gas, pools of flames, my mom's scream, Jenny's gray shadow, her cries, a rainy funeral, and then eventually it's time to move on. And life did move on. Dad got remarried and I got a new mom, Cindy. And I got 5 younger siblings who are now my best friends. I got married, divorced, married again to my sweet husband Antonio, done some therapy, and then I had 4 amazing children as well: Iva, Alicia, Itzel, and Marcelo. Of course, I never forgot about what happened back then, but I also didn't revisit the incident much either at that point. But that changed about a year and a half ago with a phone call I got from Cindy. I was driving home from work and she told me that Dad and her had the privilege of meeting someone who had been by my mom's side the morning of July 8th. I was surprised to hear this because I had always assumed that my mom had laid there alone, injured on the street that morning. This person, who is now our Commissioner of Public Safety, Bob Jacobson, was a young police officer back at the time. Bob had stayed with my mom, comforted her, and talked with her while while they waited for paramedics to arrive. As Cindy told me all about this, tears came to my eyes, a lot of tears. But they weren't tears of sadness, they were tears of gratitude. Gratitude that in probably the most scary, painful moment of my mom's life, she was not alone. That a kind soul had risked his life to be there for her. So thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Thank you on behalf of my mom and my entire family for your selflessness and bravery that day. What you did for my mother means more to me than I have words. I would also like to recognize the family members of the 35W bridge collapse, the Mounds View tornado of 1965, our veterans and first responders. I have no doubt that there were many, many other acts of bravery and kindness throughout those tragedies. Our veterans and first responders risked their lives to keep us safe, and too many of them have lost their lives. And many carry images of things that are unspeakable. To all our veterans and first responders, I thank you for your sacrifices. I would especially like to recognize one of the first responders here today, and also happens to be my best friend, Sarah Halverson. On top of managing a 24/7 career as a commander with the Washington County Sheriff's Office, she is also a wonderful mom to 4 children, homeschools, and even runs a farm that includes horses, chickens, and most recently bees. I don't know how she does it. Sarah and I have shared a lot of laughs and tears over the last 35 years. I'd be truly lost without her, so I just wanted to say thank you, Sarah. Thank you for being you. And finally, I would also like to say a few words about one of the bravest and selfless men I know, my dad. He's not a man of many words and is not interested in being the center of attention. His bravery is more of the quiet kind. From all those nights you worked overnight at the railroad to provide for our family, to literally running through the fire to carry Jen to safety, to being the only dad in the sea of moms at my dance competitions, to the ongoing sacrifice you continue to make for our family and as kids, as we still call you for help and advice. That is strength. That is love. Thank you, Dad. And finally, I would like to share a few things about my sister Jenny and my mom Bev. These memories are from the perspective of an 8-year-old, so that is how I have to share them. I remember playing in the attic and making forts with Jenny. Her big brown eyes and small frame, us throwing toys together down the stairs, swimming together in the backyard. The way she would endlessly whine, and how much I missed that whining when she was gone. I remember my mom's soft skin that smelled of Avon perfume. Her unmistakable chuckle, the Winston cigarettes she smoked too many of, her knack for decorating and knowing just the right colors to combine. The purple sweatshirt she always wore around the house, and how she let my sister and I sneak into bed at night while Dad was away working overnights. But most importantly, I remember how it felt to be by her side, to be seen and so loved by her. The way being in her arms felt like the safest place in the world. God has stayed with me, and for that I will forever be grateful to her. As I stand here now as a mother, I know that if I can make my children feel half as loved and safe as she did, I have done a darn good job. So in closing, I would again like to thank the City of Mounds View and everyone involved in the creation of this park. Grief is a lifelong process and sometimes pretty bumpy. We find ways to live with the pain and loss and hopefully make something beautiful out of it all. Having a place like this tribute park to honor our loved ones and continue to work through our grief is truly a gift. Thank you.
You know, I'd also like to recognize that there are 16 Spano family members here. Would you all like to stand up and be recognized, please? Rumor has it that we are joined by Don's mother, who is 104 years old.
She couldn't make it.
Oh, she didn't make it. Okay. You know, Allie, I really appreciate you coming up here and sharing with us. It takes a lot of courage to be able to go back and re-engage that trauma and have to go through it all over again, and then be willing to come put that out in front of a large group of people. And because you did that, we all got to know Beverly and Jennifer a little bit better, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. The next tragedy we're going to talk about is the 35W bridge collapse, which happened on August 1st in 2007. Many of us are really familiar with that. You know, I happened to drive over that bridge that day, and it was a horrible event that occurred 18 years ago and resulted in the death of 13 people. 2 of those people were Mounds View residents, Patrick Holmes, who was 36, and Paul Eichstead, who was 51. Today we are joined by Patrick's wife Jennifer and Paul's sister Sue and her husband Bob Espeth and Paul's brother Hal and his wife Bonnie. And I'd also, to be able to talk more about the 35W bridge, I'd like to invite Congresswoman Betty McCollum.
I think I could do this, but I'm not. Stairs on the other side. Always helps to have friends. And people who are here for you and support you. And that's what today's all about. As was pointed out, I'm Congresswoman Betty McCollum, and it truly is an honor and a privilege to be here for the dedication of Tribute Park, to recognize the first responders, the Mounds View residents lost in a tornado when I was in 5th grade in 1965. I remember it. Not the same way you remember it, but it touched my life too. The pipeline explosion in 1986. I remember that. We had one on the east side years later in Mariah, and all that came back. The collapse of the I-35 bridge in 2007. So you have so many people here who put this together and asked me to participate. So to the Exteds, the Holmes, and to all of you, let me tell you where I was when the bridge was collapsing. When the bridge collapsed on August 1st, 2007, the unimaginable tragedy was one that my office and I witnessed in Washington, D.C. We asked ourselves, how could this be happening? How could this be happening in the Twin Cities? How could this be happening in the United States of America? How could this be happening with the workers on the bridge, the commuters on the bridge, and yes, the school bus on the bridge? We all watched. We watched as the vehicles were trapped in the wreckage. We watched as our first responders walked on, drove on, attended a scene where they had no idea what would happen next. After that happened, President Bush said he was going to come to from Washington and asked us to join him. Representative Oberstar, who was chair of the Transportation Committee at the time, said, I have to stay behind, and can you stay behind and help me? We were on the floor of the House, urgently asking for rebuilding and supporting for the families and making sure that the full federal response was working in unison with local responders. That included special federal teams, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, an elite crew of Navy divers from the Mobile Diving Unit, Salvage Unit 2, who I spoke with, who were risking their lives to recover every person that they could recover and recover anything that would lead to a full investigation. They were under the water, putting their lives on the line. So today, we remember those first responders. Of all the incidents we are honoring today, but we know that they need our gratitude every day. I'm so impressed that the community has come together and put together this tribute to honor the families back here that are leading the lives of compassion, reaching out to continue to support one another. This park is not just a place for families and friends and neighbors to remember and reflect. It is a place for all of us to rededicate, that we give our first responders every tool in the toolbox, and through the memories that we walk through on this path, that we recommit ourselves to making sure that we create the safest community possible, whether it is regulating pipelines, which we do so much better now, whether it is making sure that bridges are more fully inspected, or whether it's we make sure that we keep our National Weather Service open so that you have timely weather information when things are happening. So I just want you to know that when we're in moments like this, you remembering and honoring and inviting people like me and the press coverage that'll happen and everything else, you remind us of how your tragedy affected all of us in a slightly different way, but how we all come together as community to do what we can to prevent these tragedies in the future and honor those who run towards danger to help all of us when we need it. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to invite Sue Espeth to speak.
Hi, my name is Sue Espeth. I'm the sister of Paul Eichstead, who died in the 35W bridge collapse, and I'm here on behalf of my brother Hal Eichstead and my sister Lori Stanek. And we want to say thank you very much to the City of Mounds View for putting up this tribute park. And we too often forget. We forget about the things that have happened, and we're inclined to forget. So we're very thankful that we have a place, that permanent place where we can remember. And we also want to thank and recognize law enforcement and fire and EMS services who have been there, and they've got our backs, and we are so appreciative of the work they do. And that's another thing, we take it for granted, because, you know, when life is calm, we forget. But there's always these men and women who are ready and prepared to help us when disaster strikes. So thank you. And forgive us for when we don't show that appreciation or the respect that you all deserve. Our brother Paul was 51 years old. He was dreaming about retirement and living in a cabin and being up north and spending time by the campfire, telling stories, and we miss him. We still get together and have campfires and tell stories, but we miss his jokes and his stories. He was a great guy, a truck driver, was very good at his job, and his death came just as a shock. It was just so sudden and so catastrophic. And those were dark days, but the community was amazing, and it pulled together, and it supported all of us, and we appreciate that. And I want to read a poem that my brother and sister and I put together in memory of Paul. Paul Eichstead. I was a traveler across the country, far and wide. I heard the mountains' testimony, and I saw the skies declare his glory. Along the highways I traveled, till concrete and steel collapsed. Though crushed and buried, I am still alive. As man's work failed me, my Savior stood by me. Consider the work of Jesus Christ, for his love endures forever. We miss you, Paul.
Is Jenny Holmes present? Okay. I just wanted, if she was, I wanted to offer the opportunity to say something. As we're moving on here, you know, something like this doesn't come together without a group of people being involved and really trying to pull this together and make it happen. And of course, you know, it takes money. So I'd like to thank the following groups: the Spring Lake Park Blaine Mounds View Fire Relief Association made a $50,000 donation. To Tim Hill, third generation owner of CG Hill & Sons, a Mounds View manufacturing firm, for their design and construction of the 35W bridge collapse Gusset Plat stand. We can just hold applause till we're done. The Mounds View Alliance, whose donations allowed the purchase of a granite bench. Cross of Glory Church, whose donation allowed the purchase of a second granite bench. The New Brighton Lions made a cash donation. The Mounds View Festival in the Park made a cash donation. Mounds View residents Greg and Kathy Peach, Don and Michelle Tyzik, and Gerald and Carol Arell made cash donations. To our contractors, Create a Legacy Granite and Pavers, Cornerstone Concrete, Voss Lighting, and Hunt Electric and MD Landscaping all played a part in pulling this together as well. And of course, all of you that have purchased pavers and the general public in general. The Tribute Park Committee put a lot of time into this. I think it was 3 years, and you know, multiple designs and public works and the park commission, and it was a long time to get to the place where this actually happened. And you know, to bring it home, I'm going to ask former Mayor Carol Mueller to come up and share her reflections, but I just got to say that, you know, this project is something that she had great passion for, and you know, really wanted to be able to honor the victims of the tragedy and the first responders and our veterans. And we, you know, working with the committee and everybody involved, found a way to put this together. And one of the things that really was impactful to me about Carol is that, you know, she could have easily stuck with it and ran for another term, maybe two, to see this thing through to the end, but she didn't. You know, she said that it's time for new people to step up, and she trusted us to be able to bring it home. And I'm so glad that she did, right? I'm so glad that the vision of her and the team were able to put this together today for us to be able to be here and honor the families and honor our service members and honor our veterans. And so I'd like to welcome Carol to join us at the podium.
Hi.
an 8-page speech that I reduced down to 1 page. Some of you know that my husband Dan and I, my son Chris, lost our son Matthew 2 years ago around this time of the year. I wasn't sure that I could speak today, but by golly, if you can do it, I can do it, right? So first of all, I want you to know, in 2007, I was a newly elected council member, working full-time at Target Corp and part-time at our local liquor store. Not to spread any stories, but I met a lot of people at the liquor store. And one of the people I always enjoyed seeing, when he had a good day fishing and needed beer for his beer batter, was Paul Langston. In January of 2008, I went to my first League of Minnesota Cities training conference, and I learned all kinds of new and wonderful things about what council members could do and how to suggest a project. So full of great ideas, I went running to our then city administrator's office, Jim Erickson. This is in January 2008, and said, Jim, we've got to do this. We got to find some money. We got to do this. What are you talking about? Slow down. You're so excited. Slow down. I said, the 35W bridge collapse. I lost a friend. I was acquainted with Kim, who was driving the school bus. Her kids were on board, including a full bus load of kids and staff members from a care facility. These kids had gone on a field trip, best day of their lives, and they were on their way home. And then I saw a truck jackknife for, I don't know if you know this or not, as Kim was coming up to pass the truck, the bridge went down, the truck jackknife. Kim could not get around Paul driving the bread truck, saving every life in that bus. There was a staff member, a junior staff member, kind of an intern helper. I want to say his name is Emmanuel, but my memory isn't the greatest, and I couldn't reach Kim to talk to her about it. Through his injuries, he actually kicked out the back door of that school bus and helped those kids that could move out the back door. EMS came and they helped assist with the children that had greater injuries, as well as getting Kim out. Kim has had multiple surgeries. They don't live in this area anymore. They moved a little further up north. They're doing good. They're doing good. But praise God for the Eichstätt family, because this quiet, reserved family who didn't let us, or didn't want us maybe, to have some kind of a major tribute to Paul at the time in their grief, when they were offered a piece of the 35W bridge, they graciously accepted it. And remember I told you about talking to Jim Erickson? Well, at that time, we were looking at a multi-million-dollar street rebuilding program over a 12-year period. We also had between a $7 and $10 million project for water infrastructure, including rebuilding and rehabilitation of our wells. There was going to be no money for this project. And Jim said to me, the Eichstätt family gave us, the City of Mounds View, their piece of the bridge. And he said, be patient, Carol. We have a piece of the bridge. We have the support of the families. This will happen someday. I am so grateful for this day that our city council, park commissioners, city staff, and especially our community, came together to support the creation of our Mounds View Tribute Park. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to serve with the dedicated members of the Tribute Park Committee, who carefully and considerately worked through each step of our 2.5-year planning journey and embraced the concept of a living tribute park to honor past, current, and future generations. I am so grateful that we are finally able to honor the families, friends, and neighbors that we lost in the 3 disasters that so tragically impacted our community in so many different ways. I am so grateful that we have a peaceful place to honor members of all branches of our nation's military and our first responders, EMS, fire, and law enforcement for their service. You know, I'm going to stop here for a minute. Remember the siren we heard go by? It wasn't the same kind of music to my ears that Bob Jacobson recalls. But for me, it was so fitting. And I don't know if you saw that after the ambulance went by, one of the fire trucks had to leave and go assist at the scene. How fitting. Here we are together as community. And today I am especially grateful that we are all gathered here together in person and yes, in spirit, to share in this dedication of our Mounds View Tribute Park. And for that, I thank you all for being here. Thank you. Important thing about a multi-page speech, remember to number your pages.
It's helpful. I'd like to make note of the displays. We have a 1953 Packard Henny antique ambulance, which should be right there. And then we have a 1922 American LaFrance antique fire truck, which is right over there. We have obviously a patrol car, and then we were blessed with the 2 aerial ladders from the fire department, and we have an Alina vehicle around here, somewhere right there. So, you know, it just kind of encapsulates everything from our history to where we are today. And grateful for everybody that for our partners for bringing those out. And most importantly, I want to thank all of you for being here and sharing in this moment with us. We are going to close with the Minnesota Firefighter Pipe and Drum. They're going to come around and do a bagpipe thing, and I just ask that you wait until they are done to disperse. So they're going to come around and go back, and then when they get back to the building, it's going to disperse. just want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the survivors of the tragedies that shared with us today. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your history with us and giving us a chance to know your family members better. Also, if you have a desire to want to participate in the tribute park, we do have our committee over there, and they would offer you the opportunity to purchase a paver if there is somebody that you would like to honor. And appreciate you all coming. Take as much time as you want to enjoy the park and reflect, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.